race officer has to be careful because he doesn't want everybody next to the race committee. So he gives a little bias toward the pin end. And most of the boats have started from the pin end. As you can see, most experienced fellow were the closer to the pin end, and the others are just following him. So I think it's a good condition, and they've been doing well in the first two races. So I think it's going to be a good race.
Thanks a lot for your valuable input, sir. I'm sure you, as the race officer for so many decades, rather, not the years, the principal race officer always has an intention to lay a unbiased course. But during the course, at times the wind does shift. So, but as we see, sir, the fleet is now divided. So it means that the course is not biased. And initially it was favoring from the pin end, but now as you see, the sailors, the fleet is getting divided. Few are sailing on the starboard and few are on the port tack. But certainly, sir, as we see, the wind conditions are favorable. The water is slightly choppy, and sailers are enjoying the race. So the 11th race, for boys.
4 races today. This is the third in the series. Today's race, 11th in the series.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You made the sailing understand so beautifully. Otherwise, sailing for the novice or the first-time viewers probably won't even understand what is going on. It's not like any other sport where the race starts from one line and ends at one line. So I've seen Advait Menon of ILCA 4 boys is doing fantastic. You have seen him sailing for a few regattas, and now this particular regatta, few races. What do you say? So, what is strategy you feel so?
I think he's very mature, and at this age doing well. But I find, at times he gets a little confused. I think so far in this series, till the 2 previous races, there's a guy, I think it's Malesh or somebody who's leading. And
absolutely,
as of now, lying 3rd or 4th. But I'm sure he's doing well. I think today's first race I found he was number 1. So let's hope he does well, and he's really good future, and quite serious about sailing.
Thank you, sir. Now we see race committee boat. So many flags. Can you talk about few of the flags for our viewers who do not understand what kind of flags are these?
Yes. There is a warning signal for the girls now. Girls ILCA 4. You find a blue color flag with the laser insignia, and UFD flag is also up. That means now maybe 1 or 2 minutes are left for starting the next race. That is the ILCA 4 girls.
And for our viewers, uniform flag once it is displayed, the sailor cannot go on the course side in the last 1 minute, sir. 1 minute before the start signal, and if they go
1 minute is left, the UFD flag is brought down, only warning signal is up. When that goes down, the race will start. Now they have to be very careful.
Yes, sir. For our viewers who are trying to understand this sport, so normally we call it a 5-minute start, and the signals are visual and the sound signals with which the sailors time their own watches and try to take a good start, as we saw 5 minutes before the boys start. So all these sailors are now lining up in the imaginary start line between the pin end and the committee boat end. And as they cannot cross the line in the last 1 minute, so all are trying to hold on their boats just before the start line, sir.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely right. Now you see they are moving towards the pin end. If you see the race committee on the far side, and pin end, you have the other blue colored boat. They are lined up, 7 girls are there. They are almost lined up. They want to start first. I think it's already started. Looks like it started. They already gone ahead of the pin end boat. That means the race has started. But you see all the girls I've seen since morning, I've been watching. All of them are, close, sailing very close. They finish within 2 minutes of each other. In other, categories like ILCA boys and the ILCA 7, you find they are widespread, and between the first and the last boat finishing is almost 7-8 minutes. But these girls are really quite screwed up in their, sailing skills, and I think they almost come within 2 minutes of each other.
So I can safely say that it is a very positive sign for the laser fleet in the country, that the new fleet of the ILCA 4 sailors is very competitive, and all of them are trying to pace up with each other. So it's a very good sign, sir, that it's not that one is very far behind. So a very competitive fleet will eventually create good sailors in times to come in ILCA 4, and which will eventually we'll see ILCA 6 when they all these girls come to the next category once they cross the age of 18, sir.
Absolutely.
So these are the ILCA 7 sailors coming for finish, sir. What do you say about this, sir?
Yeah. ILCA 7 coming for finish, and I find Mohit Saini and Deepak Saini, Israj Ali, mostly from A1 Navy, they are doing well. I think this again a very competitive flight.
With the this technology at hand, sir, and the first time we are covering it live, I'm sure it will be a nightmare for those sailors who at times try to have their strategies towards for their own benefit. But now everybody can see live what is happening, and they'll make sure that they do not cut the corners, and people are watching them actually.
If you see on the screen, you find one motorboat moving in between. That's the jury boat, and they are so serious about their job that they are just at the finish line also monitoring and making sure that nobody takes extra advantage. So that's the beauty of this.
Thank you, sir. So a word about the jury. Incidentally, we have one of the international judges with us this time in the protest committee, and Satish Kanwar, Siwach, Ananya, Anand, and Deepak Dikshit. So they are all the 5 very crewed up national and the international judges we have this time for protest committee, and they're doing a fantastic job on the water, sir. So what do you say about this gate, sir? What is, for our viewers, all those who do not understand, why there are 2 yellow marks here, sir?
See, what happens is at the start, as we told you, we have an imaginary line between the 2 boats, and the boats have to start at that given time. Then they have to go towards the windward mark, which is in the far end of the the lake. And when they come between these 2 yellow buoys, which you see on the screen.
Yes, sir, we see Siwach and Anand on a jury boat. Probably they're trying to note down about the sailors, all those who try to probably Rule 42 infringement, if at all somebody did, or their warnings they're trying to note down, sir.
Particularly when the boats come near these 2 marks of the gate. Now you can see one boat coming between those 2 yellow marks. So these 2 yellow marks, they have to round one of them and go back to the windward mark. That is the mark which is at the far end. That is called the windward mark, Mark 1. So this gate is the one where they need to go in between. They can either go on the right side gate, which you see on the screen, or on the left side gate, keeping that on one of the port side or starboard side. So this is the requirement, technical requirement for them to round the marks.
Well, thank you, sir, for making the whole thing understand in a very simple language. And the sailors are expected to go through the sailing instructions very carefully. Because it may so happen that the course is same for everyone, but the serial number which mark buoy has to be rounded where, for which class of the boat, is very well clearly spelled out in the sailing instructions.
Absolutely. Now in this particular, these races which are going on now, you have the ILCA 4 boys and girls and ILCA 7. So because ILCA 7 has got a bigger sail, it can cover the distance faster. So they have to do 3 rounds, where the other 2 boats have done two loops, So that's how the timing is done by the race officer, depending on what category you are sailing. And that course is displayed on one of the boards on the race committee before the start, that what course they have to sail. So sailors have to be really very careful. They have to know that which course they have to sail and which mark to be left where and all that. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for making the whole thing so interesting. And I'm so glad to see sailing as a water sports in the country going live for the first time. And what a picturesque venue we have. We have the Buddha statue, we have Ambedkar statue, we have the new Secretariat building coming up. So it's all adds on to the beauty of the whole venue, sir. What do you say about this, sir?
Excellent. Sain Sagar, we are proud to have, between June and September, You have the best wind, southwest wind of the monsoon, and you have the perfect conditions for sailing. And I'm happy that today we have got the target races that we planned for this particular series, which is now being taking place now. There are 3 classes: ILCA boys, 4 boys, girls, and ILCA 7. They had missed 2 races on a particular day, so they have been made up today. I think they'll sail 4 races today, and in perfect conditions for them to sail and show their mettle.
Absolutely, sir. I happened to interact with a few of our young sailors from ILCA 4 category yesterday. So they all were delighted that they could sail good. They got very good winds yesterday, and they were hoping for some good winds today also. And so nice to see white-colored sailboats in the beautiful Lake Hussain Sagar. And I am aware about this, that you have been associated with Hyderabad Sailing Week since probably from the first edition, sir. So a word about your experience from your mouth. I'm sure all the sailing fraternity know you personally very well, but your experiences or something you want to talk about Hyderabad Sailing Week. Meanwhile, when the sailors approach the mark for rounding, we can probably have a conversation regarding that, sir.
Yes, you're right. I've been coming to Hussain Sagar Lake right from 70s, early 70s. I was here.
So, sir, we had a small technical issue, so we have sorted it out. You were mentioning about Hyderabad Sailing Week and your experience over the decade, sir.
Yeah, I came here first time in 1976, and we had a beautiful, landscaping across the lake from where we sit, EMI Sailing and the Skanava Sailing Club. But over a period of years, you find, a lot of these tall structures have come up, and I think wind pattern has got disturbed a little. I remember, we had more wind blowing during this time of the year in early 70s, 80s, and 90s. In the last, I think maybe a decade or so, these tall structures have come and disturbed the, sailing pattern. But nevertheless, we are lucky that the southwest monsoon is quite strong and gives us a good quality of wind. Like even today, we have 10 to 12 knots, which is fairly good for the sailors. And wind shift also takes place. The lake beauty is that this lake, we have shift as high as 15 to 20 degrees at times. So sailors have to be alert, the organizers have to be alert and all that.
Thank you, sir. For all those viewers who have just joined us, I'm your host Alok, and we have our guest with us, legend Colonel Jaggi, retired. So he was just talking about when he came here in 1976, and ever since he's been either sailing or organizing the races in our own beautiful lake, Hussain Sagar. And this is the 37th edition of Hyderabad Sailing Week, wherein ILCA 4 boys and girls and ILCA 7 boats are in the course.
You see, two boats have gone from left side, two have gone from right side. So as I said, between the gate, you can cross the marks from any side. So very good, very good.
Absolutely, sir. So it is the sailor, they try to maintain their lead, and they as suits their strategy, probably they choose which how to how to round the gate. So I see three of the sailors, they went from the left side, and four of them from the right side. So yeah, that's the freedom and the advantage as per their strategies they do. So a month ago, by the Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana State. So what the other four girls might get away with some advantage on the left side of the course, sir. So it will be interesting to see that who comes up winning at the end of this leg, sir.
Absolutely, it looks very interesting. Let's hope. Now we can only see these two boats. I'm sure these are the ones which are leading and going to be quite interesting, looks like. Let's see who crosses the mark first.
So till now, Vaishnavi of YCH is leading the fleet after the 10 races. Then we have Divan. That such a competitive fleet, people are the top 3 medals. It will be very interesting to see, sir.
Excellent, excellent. I'm sure it will be a lot of encouragement for the sailors, for the parents, for the clubs, and I'm sure with the efforts that we are putting in, giving live commentary and making it more interesting for people to understand the sport, I'm sure we have good future for sailing in the country.
Absolutely, sir. And we are glad that you took out your valuable time and to explain the things, especially for those sailors who do not, all those parents or the novices do not understand. So what do we see on the view? How do you explain it, sir? What is happening?
It looks like the ILCA 7 fleet is coming downwind, approaching for their maybe...
I think it's a ILCA 4 boys fleet, sir, which is coming down, sir. Probably our camera person will zoom in slightly and we'll get to see, yeah, it's ILCA 4 boys fleet, sir.
I think they are going for the finish now. Let's see who's leading.
It'll be very interesting to see because slightly winds have dropped. So the fleet, the rear fleet is also caught up with the top fleet. So it'll be very interesting to see the mark rounding.
And you can see the jury boats monitoring them, so they don't take undue advantage by doing some foul actions and all, moving the boat so they need to be closely monitored. So I'm sure it's going to be very interesting now.
Yeah, we have a very highly qualified and experienced protest committee. They're doing fantastic job on the waters, watching the sailors very closely for the Rule 42 infringement, if any. And I'm sure the sailors are aware that they have very close watch from our experienced judges on water. And also they know now the third umpire is also watching from the drone. So that has helped us a lot to reduce the number of protests every day, sir.
You can see it's very interesting. The car is well spread out, and you have a very variety of players. With more and fewer very novices and all. So you can see from the drone. It's beautifully shown and all that how the fleet is moving toward the finish line, and closely monitored by the jury. Lovely scene. Lovely scene.
So jury is probably keeping an eye on all the top 4 to 5 sailors, and it's a very tough time for these sailors when under the eyes of the jury, and they probably can't do much in those winds. And in fact, it's a good thing to enforce because it's a self-disciplined sport. So I'm sure the best skilled sailor must go ahead, and the jury is doing a fantastic job.
You see now they are approaching that gate, as you said earlier, that they have to round one of the gate marks. So now there will be, if you see on the right side, there's a yellow gate mark. All these boats would try to go, that is nearest to the finish line. So
probably the top 3 boats, because of their fights with each other, they probably went 2 on the left side, and the 4th boat got the advantage, sir. What do you say about it?
Looks like, yeah, 3 of them were quite close. First boat is already rounded, so he was quite clear. He's very confident going for the finish.
Fantastic. So between the
finish, between this mark and the race committee, which is below this, yeah. Now he would just cross. Yes, he finishes. First boat, the second and third, you find they're coming in a line. Fourth and all that. Beautiful.
Again, a very competitive fleet, I must say, sir. The top 7 boats are coming just with each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Out of these 26 boys in ILCA 4, we have 7, 8 of them who are quite close to each other, and they sail well. Let's hope we have the others also making up after this experience of this regatta. Very nice.
So as we see, the top 7 sailors have finished, and then there's a huge gap, probably of about 50 boat lengths. And then the next fleet, the bottom fleet, is coming for the finish. But very nice view. And I must thank our the photographer, the drone operator. Very well covered, sir.
Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. I think first time I'm seeing this being covered live, and I'm sure the viewers also are enjoying and understanding what's happening on the sailing front. Otherwise, very difficult, hard to understand how it is going around.
Yes, certainly, sir. It's not like any other sport where you have one start line and one finish line, where you just start and probably in this particular sport, even once the number of boats cross the start line, they have the option of going on either of the tacks. So the fleet may get divided. So very difficult for any camera person to catch the fleet. But then we have got a set of 4 camera persons trying to catch the excitement on water, and our director is trying to make sure that he covers and he displays the most the fleet which we as an audience want to see, sir.
Yeah, I think one more point I want to tell you is that viewers, that the race committee got a tough job to do. When the few boats come in bunches, it's very difficult for him to understand.
Finish, and 3 of the sailors have just finished their race.
There are 7 of them, and I think others are not very far behind. You find, within 2 minutes of each other, they'll finish 1 to 7.
Yes, as we were discussing earlier, that it's a good sign when the fleet is competitive. It means the pacing will be good. The next generation of the sailors will be actually good, giving tough competition each other, and the overall standard of the sport increases.
Lovely, lovely. I think so, yeah. And yes, I think a lot of effort goes in by the sailors themselves. It's a very expensive sport, Their personal contribution, the contribution from the club, from the association, the Yachting Association of India. I think we are in for good times, and I'm sure in days to come, sailing will pick up in this country. I think we need a lot of boost for this sport so that, of course, it's expensive, but then efforts are being made to sort of open more sailing clubs. I remember you done a lot of work and done some work in the Northeast where you started 2 or 3 sailing clubs, which is a very good sign for the country, and I'm sure Yachting Association, the other national bodies will do their best to make it more popular and give them maximum support so that sailing gets further boost.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now we come at the end of the 11th race. All three categories, ILCA 4 boys, girls and ILCA 7, they have finished their 11th race, and it's a good job done by the race committee. And thank you viewers for catching up with us, and we will come back soon. And as I told you, I shared with you that this is the our first attempt to take the regattas, the sailing championships live through the live streaming on YouTube channel, and looking forward for your support. And it's your sport. Make sure that you give us your valuable suggestions, and we'll try to correct our things and probably put up a good show. Thank you for joining us, sir. Signing off as of now at the end of the 11th race on the 4th day of racing. Thank you.
Thank you.